Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. Today is Thursday, January 13th, episode 50. Already episode 50. I can't believe it. I'm looking at my notes right now. This is indeed episode number 50, 5-0. It's been awesome. It's been fun getting to number 50. It doesn't feel like I've done 50 episodes. It doesn't feel like I've uploaded 50 episodes to anywhere. It feels like I'm doing like episode 5, I think. Truly, it does not feel like I've done 50 episodes. In a couple weeks would mark the 1-year anniversary of this podcast. Episode number 52 of The Intelligent Moron with yours truly, me, Alex Silva, doing this every week. I gotta tell you, along with the new year, what's been coming up, and nearly going to be episode 52, which would mark 1 year, time-wise, week-wise, year-wise, I guess you could say that. I've started to have better eating habits, eating more healthier foods, not as much junk food, and I got to tell you this. They don't really, they tell you in college or high school and junior high, elementary, to eat good, and it makes you feel better, and you feel better, you can do more things, you feel more energized and all that. And as a kid, when you're told that, you're like, nah, whatever, I'm going to eat candy and I still feel good. And that, for the most part, that is true. You eat foods and you just kind of shake it off. If it's bad food or if it's good food, you feel good. But when you get older, like yours truly, like me, who is now losing the ability to eat lots of fast food in one sitting, losing the ability to eat certain fast foods, just in general, because I don't know how my stomach is going to react. I'm looking at you, McDonald's. You tend to want to eat more better foods, like fruits and vegetables and better bread and, better cereals and, just looking at protein, looking at fiber, looking at all these other vitamins that are essential to living a good life and a healthy lifestyle. And I've actually, along with my family, I've been starting to do this type of healthier eating. And it's been actually feeling really good. It feels really good to eat good food. I've decided to cut out a lot of other cereals that I enjoy, like Frosted Flakes and other stuff like that, and kind of focused on high fiber and high protein and multi-grain type of cereals. And not really a cereal, I guess you could say. This is more of like a bag of like oats and wheats and grains and all that. I mean, I got the specific name right here, I can tell you guys, but it's a great cereal. If you haven't tried it, you should try it. You can get it at Costco. It's called Ancient Grains. Probiotic grains. It's got kumquat, corsan, wheat, spelt, almonds, quinoa, and amaranth. And I wasn't really sure if I was going to enjoy it, if it was going to be good or anything like that, because I never really focused that much on eating just that kind of stuff, really. I mean, I enjoy almonds, I enjoy wheat sometimes, but it's I've never been a big fan of oatmeal per se, or a cream of wheat or anything like that. I've always just kind of avoided that. But adding that, getting a good cup of that in a bowl, pouring some milk over it, adding a little bit of raisins, it's not bad. I actually kind of like it. Think of this. If you're a big fan of Honey Bunches of Oats and you really, really enjoy the bunches of oats, it's kind of like that. That's essentially what it tastes like to me. And it's just I feel good. I feel better. I actually feel healthier, eating this food. And that's not just that, but I also eat more oranges, more bananas, raspberries, carrots, other stuff like that, salads. I've been eating more of, drinking a lot more water as well. And the older you get, I guess, or, the not as, you can eat anything you want age you kind of fade out of, and you get, into the age of I should probably, watch what I eat more, maybe not eat this, maybe eat a salad instead. You actually, feel better, and I feel fuller, and I feel more satisfied. Whether if I was just to eat I don't know, some chips and maybe a soda or something like that, or maybe a donut and that's it. But I also been, changing up my bread too. I'm eating like this like a very high protein, high fiber bread. I'm forgetting the brand, but it's like in a green package. It's pretty good. I mean, I have that. I've been having that for like at least like the past week and a half, and it's really good. Tastes good too. I didn't think that it would be like a good tasting bread. Usually, I'm just like a white bread type of guy. Maybe a sourdough if I'm feeling a little bit more exciting, and just eat like a normal sandwich: mayonnaise, mustard, turkey, cheese, and that's about it. Sometimes I'll dabble in the bologna, maybe the salami, and maybe I'll throw in some lettuce and pickles like that if I want to make it more exotic and more, I guess, tasty. But yeah, it's a good it's a good bread. I highly recommend that you try it. I'm not sure the exact brand. I have to look it up, but I think it's called like something's Killer Bread. It's got like a ton of protein, ton of fiber, and it's been really good. It's been a nice change of pace. I thought that it would be more annoying to eat it, and I wasn't really fond of eating that type of stuff. But after like a week and a half of doing it, I'm like, you know what, this isn't bad. I actually kind of enjoy it. This more healthier lifestyle of eating healthier food, and not so much bad food. But it does, sometimes it does have its bad days. You will feel like you've eaten so much food. You'll feel like you got to go to the bathroom a lot. And you feel like if you have one bad thing, like one thing of junk food, like I think I had like a burrito one night, just like on the weekend, and I could tell that my stomach was like, oh, what is this? This is new. Like, this is not good for you, per se. It's like, oh, yeah, it's definitely not. And you can feel in your stomach like, oh, I don't want this in here. But, your stomach gets adjusted to it. It gets better. It doesn't, totally reject all the stuff that it used to. And then it kind of evens out. It all kind of feels a little bit better. But, going back to the ancient grains, I mean, like, if that's what they actually ate back in the ancient times, whether it be like in Egypt or like Greece or whatever, I mean, shit, I could live in that time period easily, for sure. Easily. Probably have to get used to like the no shoes type of thing, where I gotta wear sandals all the time, and maybe just have like a little robe, instead of like a shirt and pants. But that'd be pretty cool. I've always wanted to, I've seen documentaries, I've seen a bunch of played a bunch of video games, seen movies and about like period pieces and all that. What it would actually be like to be back in those ancient times. Like if I were to go to one place, if I could time travel and be myself, like how I am right now, and just time travel back to one ancient time period, what would it be? I think that it would be ancient Egypt for sure. I mean, Greece definitely is interesting. It looks more exciting, and it would be cool to see like the, Athens and Sparta and like Corinth and all those places, the hot gates of Thermopylae, and all those places. Not just from like like the main parts, but like Mykonos or whatever, those islands too. Like, what would that even be like back then? I mean, you see all these ruins, and you're like, oh, this was probably like huge back then and mighty, and like maybe it was like painted, and now it's just because of all the erosion. It looks like just like statue, like white and like tan and all that. Now it's like when I was in college, I was taking this class. It was a humanities class, and it was on ancient Greece. One of the more interesting classes I've ever taken in college. And they would have the teachers would have you read like, passages from Homer, Herodotus, or I'm blanking on how you pronounce his name, but a bunch of plays, a bunch of stuff like that. Essentially like who's who, the Spartans, the Athenians, what was happening, the democracy and all that, the people, the great thinkers like Plato and all those people. Like, I just wanted to know, like, how was it like back then? Like, was it just like literally like people just walking and talking, or was it like in like lecture halls or lecture stadiums, just listening to somebody teach something? Was it life or death? Was there like sickness? I'm sure. I mean, there had to have been. Like, was it like a main thought of people's lives back then? What were they thinking about? What did they call things? Their diets like? I mean, I just always wanted to. I'm so fascinated about that, and I think back, going back to ancient Egypt, and especially seeing how those pyramids were built, is like what I wish I could do. It's like I wish I could do that. Like, I just want to know how they were built. What was happening back then? Was it for a pharaoh? Were they built because that's where they were supposed to be buried, the pharaohs, after they died? All these conflicts, how they built those pyramids, like how they are, like it's like, how can we build that today? Well, we can't really. We have like no really technology of how we would actually build that again. We're like puzzled by it. We're like, hold on, these people, the civilization way back thousands of years ago, built these pyramids and this Sphinx, and we can't replicate that at all today? You got to be kidding me here. And it's like, we try to do it and we try to replicate it, but we can't even come close. It's like, was it literally just like manpower and centuries of just building this? And it's like, what was the purpose? It's just a bunch of stuff that you think about, and that I think about, because I'm so interested in the past. I mean, don't get me wrong. I want to know what's happening in moving forward in humanity and all that process. But like, I just can't get over how more than 3,000 years ago there was a civilization that built these pyramids and built these structures and had a mathematical system and had economics and democracy and culture and all that stuff. It's just like, and it's now we barely know about it because either it was all destroyed or we're all like speculating now of what might have happened. And we find I think like recently, maybe like a year ago, we found like a mummy in a tomb that was like still pretty preserved pretty well from back then. I think that was what it was, and I was just like, whoa, that's weird. Like, what did they use back then to preserve it so well for that many years? And we're just finding it out about it like right now. I don't know. It's something you think about, and it's just like, I think about that all the time. I don't know why, but I do. It's just something that kind of just enters my mind, not on the daily, I guess. I just think about things. And it'd be cool to see. Or even like, not even like all the way back then. Like, what about like Europe in like the Middle Ages, stuff like that? Back in not Napoleon, but like, I don't know, like medieval France, medieval England, stuff like that. Like, it's just like, how far can we go back to see like what kind of stuff was happening? All these kingdoms and territories and emperors and all that. The formation of like what we know now today as like, the Western world, and even, maybe even in the Middle East, like what happened there. Like, we were all taught like, I believe like Iraq or whatever, maybe Iraq or Iran was, is modern day Mesopotamia, I believe, like, civilizations like that. I mean, they barely talk about that. Like, it's like maybe talk for like a couple days. And then they just kind of like, these were the first people that we kind of know of about before like the Egyptians and all that. And then we talk about them. You see like in the textbooks, like little like pots and like bowls that they might have had, like maybe a couple portraits or like sculptures. Then you just kind of move on like that. Like, you need like an entire semester or a year to learn like all that stuff, or I don't know, take a class or something. Maybe just like study in history and like try to do your own thing, try to make another discovery that nobody's aware of, and do that. I've always been kind of interested in that stuff. It's always just kind of popping into my head. Yeah, it's just, something I think about on the daily. Nothing like, not about like politics today, not about like stuff going on today. Stuff today just kind of sucks. There's always some good and some bad, but, just for the most part, it's all kind of like, there's just a lot of shit going on. And like, there's some shit that's happening like right now. I mean, I think that it was just announced today. This is going to be a segue to, I guess, entertainment in a way. The Batman movie. The Batman is coming out in March this year. Starring Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, directed by Matt Reeves. It was announced, I believe I saw that it was announced today, that it's not going to be rated R. It's going to be rated PG-13. And I saw it on Twitter that some people were getting actually mad about that. And actually, like, kind of like, why would it be rated PG-13? It looks like it's going to be rated R. It feels like it's going to be rated R, but it's not rated R. It's like, in no shape or form was I like, this needs to be rated R. Like, when I first saw the trailers, I was like, oh, this is going to be dark. This is going to be grittier. That's what I perceive when I see the trailer. Like, this is going to be a darker Batman. Cool. Did not once cross my mind like this should be rated R. At not one time, because I was like, it doesn't really need to be. I mean, what's going to make it rated R? Are they going to drop a bunch of F-bombs? Is there going to be nudity? It's going to be like some gore? Like, does it really need all that kind of stuff to make it a good movie? Like, I just feel like when people talk about it being rated R, they think that it can only be rated R to make it as gritty as that they want it to be, or that they think that it could be. But you can get away with a lot of things with a PG rating that could still make it dark and gritty and still be, in the PG-13 range. You don't got to make it rated R all the time. Usually with rated R, when they say it's rated R, is because they swear a lot. They used to drop a bunch of F-bombs, bunch of shit like that. And that's usually why movies get the R rating, is if they teeter between like PG-13 and R, and it's not like got like a bunch of sex scenes and shit. It's usually because of the language. I mean, I don't need to see Batman swearing that much. I mean, it's just gonna be like, just because it's rated R, they're gonna make him swear. Like, there doesn't need to be that much swearing. It's like, and if that's not the case, if it's gonna be gore, I mean, you could do a lot with a PG rating to still have pretty good violence in it. You don't need to have blood splatters or freaking decapitations or amputations or guys getting blown away like it's The Boys or the Suicide Squad. I mean, that's just not kind of like what Batman is, I think. It doesn't need that. It doesn't need to be like that. I mean, if you've seen The Dark Knight, Dark Knight Rises, Batman Begins, those movies are still very, very dark. Maybe not as gritty, but it's like, it still gets the point across that this is not going to be like a very kiddie Batman movie. I mean, it's just, it's, you can do other things that are dark and not make it rated R. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I was not a huge fan of the Hobbit movies, the Hobbit trilogy, especially the last movie, The Battle of the Five Armies. Actually, one of the worst movies that you could ever see, I think, in terms of it being a movie and being like, just dragged on for too long. Like, I mean, like, it didn't even need to be a trilogy. It could have been like 2 movies, but the fact that the studio wanted to make it a trilogy and get 2-3 back-to-back December releases and cash in on money, it was just like so corporate-y, and like, it did not need to happen. It was just bad marketing and a bad decision, overall by the studio. But they did it and they made their money, and whatever. But everybody was like talking about what's the extended cut going to be, because they always do that with Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies. Always did like a theatrical release, and they give you like an extended version, which is just like every deleted scene just put in and fully rendered, fully cut and mixed and all that. It's just a big cut of all the deleted scenes that didn't make the theatrical cut in the movie. And, it's fine. I very much enjoy the Lord of the Rings movies, extended cuts. That's all I watch, really, is the extended cuts of those movies. I don't even watch the theatrical cuts, but because I think that the extended cuts are actually, they feel like they just serve the movie and the trilogy more, and you get that much more information that I think is necessary in those movies. Now, I will admit I haven't seen... I don't watch them as frequently because I just think that they're not as good movies, but I did watch the third one, and this is one I remember the most of, because if you don't know, essentially the entire movie in the third one is essentially just one big battle, essentially, and it's like, it's like it never ends either. It's got the stupidest scenes, in my opinion, the worst CGI, the worst fight scenes, the dumbest, and just dragged on and dragged on. It's like, the entire movie is just a battle, and you would think that would be cool, but it's like, it's just not. I'm just watching people fight the entire time, and not a whole lot of character in it, not a whole lot of story, because there's not much left in the book after that. I mean, and even in the book, it's just like the battle happens when Bilbo's like unconscious. Spoiler alert, but like, that's what happens. You don't even see the battle. They just kind of make it up. They just say that it was a battle. Anyway, the extended cut for the Battle of the Five Armies is rated R, and I don't know why it was or what that decision was or whose idea it was, but it's just terrible. And it's just like, this is just rated R just to be rated R, to be gory, to be unsettling, I think. And in my opinion, it's just like, the violence in Lord of the Rings and even up until The Hobbit, I mean, it's not like Game of Thrones. Was never supposed to be that gory or that like gritty. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then when you get that in the third part of this Hobbit trilogy, in my opinion, it's so off-putting and it's so out of place. It's like, this didn't need to happen. This is not necessary. I feel like that could happen in the Batman. Like, just because you got a dark tone in the trailer, you assume that's going to be rated R. It's like, no, I mean, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't have to be. One, because PG-13 makes it a more accessible to other, a bigger demographic, obviously. And I just feel like making a Batman movie rated R, were people wanting it? Yes, I'm sure that there was a lot of people wanting it and calling for it, but I also feel like it's not necessary. It just would be like so much fan service, and I feel like if you do make it rated R and you got like Batman just fucking exploding people and ripping them apart and just doing gruesome shit and saying gruesome things and being just a gruesome movie, I feel like you'll get a lot more of people fan backlash towards that than making it a PG-13 movie of which you're already more comfortable with seeing, and then just being like maybe not as gritty or not as dark as you wanted it to be. I don't know. It just kind of feels that way. I just feel like people wanted it to be one thing, and it's not going to be that way, and now they're just kind of clamoring and getting mad about it. Now, I haven't talked to anybody about it, but I've seen a big like actual outrage on Twitter, and people getting confused, like, why was this not rated R? Like, come on. You can't just tell me that like you expected it to be rated R and now you're disappointed that it's not rated R. Come on. It's like almost with like Venom. Like, the Venom actually, if I'm going to be honest, deserves a rated R, an R rating, if I can be, completely honest with you, because Venom is about a symbiote that devours people and eats people and like gruesomely kills people. So it would actually serve that movie more for it to be rated R and not PG-13, because you can tell, like, they want to go far and make him, like, kind of scary, too, make him feared and menacing, and it's like, he's like a monster, essentially, that eats people, to live, and it's like, well, that would actually lend itself better to be R-rated than Batman would be, I think. So I can see that argument, like, especially with Venom, but for Batman, I'm like, it doesn't really need to be rated R, in my opinion. I mean, BVS, even in the theaters, when you get that scene with him beating up the people, all those goons in the warehouse, like that was like a true great fight scene for Batman, and it was PG-13 and it was fine. So I think that when people are just like getting mad about it not being rated R, just hold on. There's still a lot of things that you can do, especially with violence and tone. You can still have a very dark tone for a PG-13 movie. It's just like, they just don't do it. But like, if you've seen Matt Reeves' movies, like the Apes movies, especially, Dawn and War, those have very, very dark tones. So it's capable and it's possible to get a dark tone, a dark and gritty tone in a PG-13 movie, especially done by Matt Reeves. So let's just hold on for a bit. Let's not get mad yet. Let's not cast judgment that's going to suck or that's not going to be as gritty as it's, it can be. It probably will still be dark and gritty as you expected. Just maybe not as much swearing or, again, maybe no gruesome killings, but it's like, is that even necessary in Batman? Like, I just, in my opinion, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that. I would think that it would just be out of the realm of, and just out of, not fit the character of Batman. It's the same with the Hobbit. I mean, they had scenes in the Hobbit Battle of the Five Armies that were so gruesome and just blood splattering and people getting, blown apart. Not really blown apart, but like ripped apart by trolls and shit. Splattered, blood splattering, guts and heads rolling. It's like, this is so unnecessary. It's like you don't even want to watch it now. I mean, at least for me, in my case, I was just like, get this out of here. This makes no sense. I would never want to. Yeah, it's just, you got to know your audience too. It's like, I don't know. I just feel like with that cut of the Battle of the Five Armies, it being that bad and that disgustingly gruesome, is just so off-putting. It's like, oh, this is gross. I don't want to watch. It's like you're watching like just a slasher movie, or maybe not even slasher, but like a just a super super gory movie like that doesn't need to be gory, or that for that movie it feels it works and it's fine. But in the Lord of the Rings type of movie, The Hobbit, that's not even supposed to be that gruesome or that, adult, I guess you could say, to be that, it's like, this is just unfitting. This was kind of going around a couple, for a while this week. And I just kind of wanted to talk about this because I remember back in the day, my friends or some of my friends were like actually, sickly addicted to a game on your phone. Not like Clash of Clans, not like those type of games, like a strategy game or whatever. Not even like a, chess or something like that, or Words with Friends. And maybe it wasn't really a game. Maybe it's just like I don't even know what you would say it, but it's like it got people's eyes because of what the brand was and the IP that it was. And that was Pokemon Go. I'm only bringing this up because a couple days ago I saw an article and I was actually hearing about another podcast and I was like, what? This actually happened? A couple of LAPD officers in 2017 were fired because they decided not to pursue a robbery in favor of trying to find a Snorlax on Pokemon Go. And I just remembered that, and I was like, wait a minute, isn't that the game that actually made my friends so brain dead and so stupid that they would want to go to all these realms of the land and try to take pictures of Pokemon and share with the friends? I was like, that's exactly what happened. Even members of the law were so plagued and actually brain dead to do this. And I was just like, this is so weird. I'm like, first of all, this happened 3 years ago, but it was in the news because they didn't win their appeal to appeal their arrest and get their jobs back, because I didn't go through the full details, but I think on like the recording of their dispatch vehicle, I think it was reported that they said, who cares about that, or something along the lines of like they just said, screw it, I believe is what they said when they got the orders to go stop this robbery, and they just focused on getting that, that Snorlax, because it's it's Pokemon and we got to get Snorlax. I was just like, what? Thinking about Pokemon Go is wild if you actually think about what it is, because it's like you're essentially giving the app access to your location at all times when you're using it. And not only that, but you're taking a picture of your general surroundings and what you're doing and what you actually see. And it's like, that's fucking wild. Like, why would anybody want that now? Like, I don't know many people that actually play it now. And I get when you were younger back then. I mean, we weren't even that much younger back then. Like 5 years or so. But still, it's like, I never got it because of Pokemon. But now that I think about it, well, why would I ever get that now? It's like, I'm not going to get an app where I'm going to go and search for a Pokemon for fun. Yeah, it's all fun. And then now it's like, you got to have your location services on. You got to have your GPS on. Oh, by the way, you got to take a picture of where you are and upload it so everybody can see. And it's just like, but we're going to stamp of the brand Pokemon on it just so you'll do it, because, I mean, who's going to resist that? It's Pokemon, right? I mean, besides me, a Pokemon hater, which I was like, get that shit out of my life. I'm good. I'm fine, fam. And, just kind of like seeing like this article and not even hearing about it at all when it happened, like, again, back in 2017. But to just see how much this engulfed people's brains and minds is insane. And it's kind of happening today with TikTok. Now, I'm not on TikTok, but I get sent a couple TikToks, every so often from some of my friends. Now, some are funny, some are not, in my opinion. But it's just like the fact that I think that this app has such a hold on people. Like, it's crazy. It's insane how much this app has people's brains locked up. And, like, people will be on TikTok for, like, 15 minutes to an hour doing something that they, probably doing something else that they could have been doing, or just, like, sitting on their phones and watching TikToks or doing dances like this and shit, going viral like that. I don't know. I feel like that's an older TikTok. I feel like it's gotten even more advanced now. That's like, it's kind of migrated to something else and not just dances. I feel like I don't see as many dances. I just see like funny clips, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't support it. I think that it's just not invasive of privacy, but invasive of your time and what you're gonna do. I don't know. I just feel like it has that ability, and it's also like your own self-control and all that, but it's like you make an app that you just open it and all of a sudden a video is just playing. I mean, they knew what they were doing. They're like, oh, we're going to get these people to not have an option to start a video. We'll just play it as soon as they open the app. I mean, I don't even think that there's an option to make it so a video does not play when you open the app. I'm pretty sure it's just like that. And I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, social media and, is just crazy now, because it's now just being so invasive of everybody. And like, we're all fine with it. Some people are just fine with it. And I'm not saying that I'm fighting a fight here, but I feel like I'm not going to do that. Maybe because I'm older now, I just see it more like, yeah, I'm not going to take a picture of myself and, turn on these tracking things. Like, why would I do that? I don't want to know, like, let people know where I am at all times. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I've become to value more of my privacy now than I ever have before. Man, I used to tag people and shit, post my location on places back with Instagram and Facebook and even Twitter sometimes back in the day. And now I'm just like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Every time it asks you the app to track, I'm like, fuck no. Get me out of that shit right now. Thank God that Apple actually does that. They actually have a pretty good security system and pretty good privacy settings on their devices and on their apps. I enjoy that quite a bit. Just kind of why I would never, migrate to Android, because I don't think that they have that well privacy as Apple does. I mean, that's just what I hear, that Apple's got like some of the better and best privacy settings that you could have on a smartphone. So I'm like, why would I leave? I enjoy the privacy. I enjoy the security that I have on this device. I'm not gonna. And who knows? That could change. I mean, there could be something that passes in the future that just gets wiped away, and then we're just using our phones, and then being tracked at all times. Any app that you open, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it's just like boop, boop, boop. They got you there. They locked onto you right there. They got your signal right there. I mean, I wasn't even. I went to Costco this week. I don't think I mentioned Costco once around my phone, but I went there. The next day I come back, and the next day I get ads on Instagram about Costco. It's like, oh my God. I barely mentioned it. Did it like hear that I was around people? Did it hear a certain like bell or whistle that is only like associated with Costco? Like, that's how I figured it out. I could have swore I was just thinking about something. I think I was thinking about, what was it? I don't think I said the word Long John Silver's. I mean, I just did it right now. But before that, I was thinking about it, and I got an ad for it. I was like, oh my God. This is insane. I mean, you remember the South Park episode about the ads? That's happening. I mean, if you haven't seen it, you should see it. But like, the ads for sure. I mean, you don't have to, but it's a form of comedy. It's like that's becoming reality. And I don't know if that's where I want to move on in the future. I would much rather have more focus on understanding the planet more. Maybe a better form of energy, like crystallic fusion or something like that. I'm sick and tired of using fossil fuels and electricity and other things like that. I want to have cars that are run on wood or something like that, or something that's not as dirty as fossil fuels or electricity. You know what I'm saying? We got to focus on that, and maybe focus on space exploration and deep sea adventures and expeditions. What is underneath the ocean that, what's the deepest part? Like, how far can we actually go in the ocean? Like, why has there not been technology developed to go even deeper than we already have? I mean, it's 2022, for God's sakes. I mean, we haven't gone that deep in a while. We haven't been to the moon since 1969, so it's like, what are we doing? We're making apps, and we're making ourselves even lazier. And it's just like, I don't want to be a part of that. Like, why have we not found more civilizations that were probably on this planet way back even before the Egyptians? We're just getting so freaking lazy with apps and what's on your phone. And to be honest with you, I mean, everybody falls for it. Everybody, things that you're interested in. For me, it's like sports and entertainment and movies and video games. And it's like, shit. I mean, I'm getting so much information all the time. It's like, why even go outside? Why even go for a walk? Why even do anything? It's like, Jesus, I gotta get. There's a part of me that wants to delete everything again, like I did for Spider-Man. But it's like, it's also so useful, and at times it can be very fun. It's just like, you got to find the ability to take charge and not just overconsume it. I think that's what's just got to happen in the future. We just got to find a way to restrict ourselves and not just be on TikTok or social media all this time, and try to make something actually fun, and not just actually fun, but good for everybody. Because I think that's what we all want to do. We all want to make something that's good for good for humanity and good for the human race. We all have that good, the good intent of making something that we can all use, that we can all benefit from. But then there's just something that happens or that occurs when that's being developed, and it just kind of goes sour. I don't know. Maybe you don't even notice it, or maybe it's just found out later on the road. But it always just seems to happen every time. It's like history just repeating itself all over and over and over again. It's like, we got to find a way to break that. And I'm not sure that I have the answer. I mean, I don't think anybody does, but it's fun to ponder it. It's fun to just think about it. Like, what could we do to make everything, the world a better place? Why are there still people that are hungry and starving? Why is that? We got to work on that too. Why are people still, in trouble with food? Why can't they find water? Why don't they have access to water or food? It's just like, it's a question that people ask, and people are like, yeah, let's fix it. But at the end of the day, the people in charge are like, we don't need to. we'll be fine. It's just that human nature, I think. The nature that you have, that you yourself are not in any immediate danger, that you're fine in this moment. You don't got to do anything about anything. You're fine. That kind of creeps in, and you're like, we'll do it maybe next month, next year, maybe next decade. If people actually, are crying about it, maybe sooner than later. But it's like, if it doesn't affect you at that moment or at that second, it's like, why even do it? I mean, it's just like homework, right? Back in the day, if you were a slacker like myself, and you're like, do I need to do this assignment? And then you go to your grade, and you're like, is this going to affect me right now if I don't do this? You do the math, you see what you've done, what you haven't done. Can you do well on this assignment, or do you need to do well? Or do you need to do better on the test? Focus all on the test or on the exam or the essay, whatever, or the final, and then kind of map out your route. And just kind of, take it easy, take it slow, and go for that C. It's like everybody's trying to get a C. They're just trying to pass, be acceptable, be adequate. And it sucks because a lot of us have that mentality sometimes. It just keeps creeping back. Like, oh, I just got to do this, I'll pass it, I'll be fine. I'll get that 70%, I'll be good. And that kind of just diminishes the drive and the power that you have to go for excellence. And I think that's seen in a lot of, companies and products. Like, how many times have you bought something that you spent a lot of money on, and you can feel the quality in it? You can actually feel the quality, like maybe a pair of shoes, maybe a pair of headphones, or a computer, or a monitor, or a TV even. And you feel the quality. And maybe you're comparing it to a lesser model or a lower costing product, and you actually go with the lower costing one, and you're like, oh yeah, I see. You can tell the difference. You can tell like, oh yeah, this one's cheaper, this one's trash, this one's just, why did I even buy it like that? Something like that. It's because I don't know. It's all like driven by, first of all, money. Obviously, money's going to drive a lot of things, but it's also going to be ego and reputation and how you're seen by others. You want to be known as a person who's got the good quality, the better product. You're going to go for it. You're going to be like, I want to build a reputation where I make good shit. I don't want to be the person to make trash, make crap, stuff like that. And you can see that with like everything, not just luxury items, but like cars, bikes, anything really, food. You can tell that for sure. So it's just like it's the ability, or the not the ability, but the willingness to settle for okay is like something we gotta figure out how to not keep doing it. It's like, oh, we got fuel, we got fossil fuels, we'll use that for centuries. Well, we're fine. We already found a way. It's like, well, we could maybe find something better, and maybe even more efficient, maybe even not as expensive. Maybe it's more expensive, but it'll last you longer. Maybe that. It's like, but it's hard to. Again, it's hard to strive for greatness, is what people would say, what LeBron James would say. Strive for greatness. It's hard to when you can easily just plateau and be fine. Nothing's going to happen to me. I'm going to be all right. I'll be fine. That being said, though, moving on to sports. And like I said I think the couple podcasts ago, I was so disgusted by the college football playoff. The previous games between Cincinnati, Alabama, and Michigan, Georgia, that I was not going to watch the national championship. And I gave you my word, I did not watch it. And in the process, I believe a few hours before the game, I did tweet that, congratulations, Alabama, you won. And I believe I jinxed the national championship because Georgia actually won. They beat Alabama by nearly 2 touchdowns in a pretty decisive win. It was close in the first half, in the third quarter, but the fourth quarter just kind of melted away for Alabama. And Georgia just won, decisively. And which, I take full responsibility if I did actually jinx it, but I didn't mean to. I'm pretty sure you probably knew somebody else who also did the same thing, so maybe take your anger out, not at me. I mean, hey, I think we all thought that Alabama was going to win. I don't care what you say about Georgia's defense. We've all seen this happen many, many times. We've seen Alabama just crush teams who are told to be good and hyped up to be good, and at the end of the day just kind of flounder and fizzle away and just do nothing about it. They piss their opportunity away, and it's just same old, same old. Not today, not this time, not this week, not this national championship. Congratulations to Georgia and everybody who was a part of it. Congratulations. You actually defeated Alabama. Now, is it good or is it bad? Well, I got an answer that's going to be a little bit divisive. It's good that the fact that it wasn't Alabama. Let's be honest with ourselves. If we saw another Alabama championship, we would just say, more and more, don't even play the season. Don't even play it. Just it's so boring, and that sounds so irrational and so stupid when I say it, but you have to come from a perspective of somebody who's neutral and enjoys college football for a little bit, and just, enjoys it because it is sports, and will watch it because it is a sport. But it's like, if this is just going to keep happening and everybody's like going to be like, it's so predictable, it's like, why even watch it? You know what I'm saying? So I'm happy that Alabama did not win for the sake of it being repeated again and again and again. Thank you, Christ. But it was Georgia that did win. Now, they were the better team, but they're in the SEC, which still is a problem because Georgia can still beat any other team over and over and over again. I mean, maybe they can't beat the worst NFL team like people like to say about Alabama back in the day, or maybe like 5 years ago when their team was like super, super good. But it's still to the point where it's like the competition is still just unfair. And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to watch every Saturday night, every Saturday, these games where a Big 10 team or a Big 12 team, an ACC team, even if it's Clemson, probably has like a 0% chance or a very, very low percent chance to beat a good, or if not that, any SEC team. It's just not even fair. The recruiting, the coaching, the facilities, the everything that they have, the money involved in those programs is just so much higher than any other program. It's like it's not even fair. I mean, also these are colleges, right? Is Alabama known for its academics? Is Georgia known for its academics? Is Mississippi State, is Ole Miss known for their academics? I mean, like, we're losing the. It's like why are they even called? Like, college football is just so bizarre because you forget that these guys are actually students. And say what you want about student athletes. I mean, do they get all the priorities? Do they get all the attention? Especially if you're in football or basketball? Hell yeah, you do. I mean, there's no debate that you don't. I mean, I've seen it. I didn't even go to a big-time school. I went to Fresno State, but you can tell that there was so much priority and so much concern about their student athletes that were in the football team or even their basketball team. That they get everything. They get first choice at classes. They get free meals. They get all this bullshit that nobody else does. And they just, most of them don't even, go to the NFL or go to the NBA, but they still get a pretty nice ride in college. Now, it's also tough. I'm not saying that it's not tough. I mean, they got to go to practices, team meetings, workout routines, training practices, they do all that, plus going to school. But I'm just saying that they do get the first pick at the litter when it does come to classes and all that. And when it does come to, if they're going to be fed or not, they're going to get all that. 100% sure. 100%. So it's like, it almost seems like it's like the SEC is like not even prioritizing in academics now, which is fine, but why even call it college football then? If that's what they are. If they're just going there to play football and just get by in class. And I'm sure like there's dudes that are valedictorians and super smart. It just doesn't feel that way when you watch it on TV. You know what I'm saying? I get that they're at college. I get that they're going to a place where to learn and to hopefully get a degree and, go into society with a career that they wanted. And football was like, for the most of those kids, it is going to be, just football and not anything else, just college football there. You're going to get like a lot of them that go to the NFL in those conferences, but it's like the majority of every team, they're not going to make the NFL. I mean, you just kind of know that, but it just feels like it's so not even acknowledging the academics anymore. It's like, we're all about college football. We're all about, sure, you get an ad every national championship, every bowl game of the university that is in that bowl game, right? You do get that, but it's like, it just feels like it's just not even the same as it used to be. It's like not even close to what it used to be, where it was college football, and then there were college students first, and then there were student athletes after that. Yeah, it just feels like now, especially with the NIL coming into play, which is name, image, and likeness, and you get paid for that, it just kind of feels like more and more that the academics are no longer in first place. It's now being the college football athlete or the college athlete. So it's like, it's crazy. And just being somebody, again, who's never come from a big-time school or played college sports, but saw it a lot and even in a smaller school, it just kind of feels like it's like not really about college anymore. It's just amateur football, but with a brand like Alabama Crimson Tide or Georgia Bulldogs, who obviously have a big fan base. They sell merchandise, they sell jerseys, they sell all that shit, and they're still just college kids apparently. Yeah, whatever. But again, it's not great for college football, even though they did not let Alabama win. It just shows you that conference, the SEC, is just so unfair and so just. I've heard that it was a good game. Again, I did not watch it, but I just want another school that's not Alabama, not Clemson, to not even Ohio State, even though that those are better. And I think that college football is better when a non-SEC team wins. I just think that there needs to be more diverse and more. I don't want to say like it needs more fairness, because you should be able to work harder to achieve that goal. But if you're getting the best recruits and you got the best facilities and the best training, weight rooms and all that, and the best everything, it sure does just make it all predictable. And then you're going to go through every season and be like, who's going to win it? Who's got the best shit? Or who's got the best players or best recruits, best coaches? It's like, oh, that's all the SEC. It's like, all right. Wow. And it might not be as predictable as it was in the past, or that it is now. Maybe not in the future with the transfer portal and all that. Maybe it actually will be more evened out, hopefully. We can only hope, because maybe if that happens, I'll start watching it again. Maybe if it just picks up in quality, not that way one team is just not as far away in the talent and the how good that they are from the other, then I'll watch it more, because it's just unbearable for me. But again, congrats to Georgia. You earned it. You beat Alabama. Thank you, God. In a way, thank you. Thank you. Even though I didn't watch it, thank you, because nobody wanted to see Alabama win again. Nobody. No one. I'm sorry. Except if you are actually an Alabama fan, then you would want to see that for sure. But if you're neutral like me, or just anti-Alabama, thank you. Thank you. Now we move on to the NFL. The final week of the NFL has just passed. Week 18. The first Week 18 in NFL history has just passed. And I'm going to talk about a little bit of the games during Week 18 that, I watched them all, but I'll just, talk about the ones that were, caught my eye more than the others. Also, what happened after Week 18, including the coaches being fired, the playoff picture, what I think is going to happen, and let's just dive in. I mean, first of all, the first game that we got was Chiefs-Broncos. Chiefs beat the Broncos 28-24. I mean, in the process, Vic Fangio gets fired. I mean, not a surprise, because his teams in the past, this past year just hasn't been, up to speed. Even though after they got, rid of Vance Joseph, I think that was last year. I mean, this year just wasn't any better. 7-10. I understand that they didn't get rid of, but they lost Teddy Bridgewater to injury, but still just not there for them. And the Chiefs, again, they get another win, closer win than I thought that they would have, to be honest with you. I mean, let's just say that the Broncos definitely competed harder than the Chiefs in some points, and we're like, oh, they can't let the Broncos win. Let's just pull it out of our ass right now. And they did that, and they won. I mean, totally just not they're still very good, the Chiefs are, but I just I think that the Bengals, the Bills, the Patriots are still better, even though the record is not as good. I just feel like they just kind of got an easy schedule this year. Moving on though, Cowboys beat the Eagles 51-26. Definitely dipped out of that game quicker than anybody else could. So quick. I was like, this is over. Bye. Congratulations to the Cowboys. They're actually going to the playoffs for the first time in 4 years, I think, maybe 5. That's cool. I mean, that's always good for the National Football League to get, the big time teams in the playoffs, because when you have a division that has the Cowboys, the Giants, the football team, and the Eagles, both all pretty big, football teams and franchises and organizations, and not one of them makes it that far. I mean, it's just why? Well, come on. You guys have that division has one of the bigger fan bases of all those teams in the entire NFL. And the fact that the Eagles and the Cowboys both made it is even, even better for the league and better for, football in general, I think. The Bengals lose to the Browns 16-21, but that was kind of intentional because the Bengals already clinched the division. The Browns were just kind of scrapping for scraps, scraping the bottom of the barrel to get anything good out of this season because it wasn't very good. And I know people like to say that Baker Mayfield probably is not the guy in Cleveland, but he was hurt essentially the entire year. And before that, he had a great year. He had a really, really good year, but he just got hurt. And I feel like it just you don't want to be the player to hold the team back with your injury, but you also don't want to have that feeling of you're abandoning your team when you're taking time off. And he felt like he could not take, time to, rest and to get better. He just had to feel like he had to go, go, go. And I understand that completely. But I feel like if next year goes bad, whether it be injury or not, you might have to consider, keeping him. They've already said that they're going to keep him for their 5th year. So we'll just see. I mean, maybe it gets better, maybe it doesn't, but I feel like he definitely has the capability to be as good as he was last year. But it's also the fact of if he's going to be able to adjust to that, because, like I said before, you have a good year in the NFL, you enjoy it, because the next year is not going to be as pretty, because now teams are going to know what you're capable of and what you can do to defenses. Now we're going to adapt to you and play you even harder. Like, I mean, you can just look at, this year with Baker, the same year with Josh Allen. I mean, he just was not as dominant and as dangerous as he was last year. It's just, proof in the pudding. That's just how it goes in the NFL. Look at Lamar a couple years ago. That's just what happens. RG3 after his first year, Andrew Luck after his first year, it just happens. I mean, even with running backs. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott had a good first year. After that, he's never been that good, to be honest with you. So it just happens. If the player does not have the ability to adapt their game to the opponent, then you're not going to survive the NFL that much longer. I mean, that's just a fact of watching the NFL for many, many years and seeing how players just kind of fizzle away. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. The Lions beat the Packers 37-30. I mean, the Packers took out Aaron Rodgers in the second half, even Devontae Adams, so it's like, okay, whatever. They already clinched the division. They didn't need to win this game. The Lions played for pride, Lion pride. Play for pride. I mean, that was good to see. Good to see them get a win in the way that they did. And, yeah, that was a fun game. The Vikings beat the Bears 31-17. Again, like coaching for his life at that moment. Mike Zimmer, ends up getting fired. Not surprising, because just he plays and he coaches such uninspired football, and it's not even fun to watch. And I feel like this is long overdue, because he's had that team for a long time. Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, that core, and Adam Thielen for a couple years now, and it never really materialized. It never really got them anywhere good. They hadn't made the playoffs, I think, since they had a good year with Case Keenum, but after that, it was just like it was never really, came together. And I think that's part of, Mike Zimmer, but also Kirk Cousins is not like he's not like a number one quarterback. And they signed him and they paid him like he is one. And I kind of feel like that kind of bit Mike Zimmer in the butt. Like, well, we didn't even get the right guy. And now he's just like, he's going to stay because you guaranteed him money and you didn't guarantee me money, so I got to go. So it's like, shit. I mean, it does suck if you're the Vikings and you're a Vikings fan, because you probably know deep in your hearts that Kirk Cousins is just, he's not elite, I would say. I mean, he has some good games, good plays, but at the end of the day, he's not the guy to move forward with. He's not an ideal franchise quarterback. He's not a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers or even like I don't know, Josh Allen. He's not there. He's not that. I'm just not saying he's not going to get there. He probably could, but it's not like he's like super young anymore either. I mean, he's getting older now, and it's probably not going to go as easy as he thought it would be. But I just feel like just a team with talent, clearly a team with talent, but not the right quarterback and not the right coach for that quarterback. Maybe that's it. Maybe it was a combination. Maybe they get somebody like Jim Caldwell or somebody like I don't know who's putting their money or their hat in the basket to be that coach. Brian Flores, maybe. Brian Flores definitely, has a fiery personality that probably can, interject some juice into that Minnesota team, but who knows? The football team beat the New York Giants 22-7, and then in that process, you get a whole day of Joe Judge being safe and Joe Judge not getting fired on Monday, and then Tuesday he gets fired. And then you're like, well, thank you that he did, because he was like one of the main coaches that we all thought should indefinitely be fired. I mean, there was talks that he had his job secured no matter what happened at some point in the season, that he was going to be fine. You're coming back, it's going to be good. But then they played that game on Sunday against a football team. And it's just like not even competitive at all. No emotion, no heart. It's like, I even think that Giants fans, when you watch that guy coach and when you watch his team on the field this entire season, and even the one in the past, I mean, maybe just this season in general, I mean, just totally quit on him. And maybe it was because the players didn't like him, or he just gave up. But it just felt like a collaborative fail. And I think that you have to blame him, because he is the head coach. He is who is supposed to rally the troops, get everybody on board about the game plan and all that. And they seem like they were just so uncompetitive too much in this past season, and just not play well. And I think that if he actually did go without getting fired, I would have been very, very, very concerned. Like, very concerned with the ownership and what that organization wants, because I'm like, well, if you fired Brian Flores, who didn't quit, and you kept this guy, there's just some kind of fuckery going on in this league. That, again, people are just going to settle for what they have, right? People do that. People don't want to, the GM or the owner does not want to put in that effort to find another coach. They just don't. Same as anybody. Does your manager want to do interviews? Does your manager want to pick somebody to replace you? Probably not. Nobody wants to do that job. And it just kind of shows you how some people with, even with a job like a GM or an owner, is just going to, take the piss and just not give a shit. So it just happens all the time. Just in every profession. We're all humans. We all do this kind of bullshit. We all kind of make mistakes like that. We all kind of settle for what's okay at the moment. Not to say that Joe Judge was okay at the moment, but, he was definitely probably in a way better than that person in charge of him or his boss to go find another coach. Like, who's going to replace me? Who's going to hold the interviews and all that? So, moving on, though. Colts lose to the Jaguars 11-26. I was watching this game live, knowing that the Colts had to win, because if they didn't win, they'd be out of the playoffs, and then they would open up another can of worms down the line in the future of that Sunday. What was going to happen? And sure as hell, they got absolutely stomped by the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Trevor Lawrence had actually a good game, a competent game of him being at quarterback and playing well. Meanwhile, Carson Wentz, Frank Reich, Jonathan Taylor just absolutely lay an absolute egg on NFL Sunday. They had to win. All they had to do was beat the Jaguars, the worst team in the league, and they could not even do that. And I'm sure that they had, zeroed in on that focus and zeroed in on the Jaguars. But for some reason, whatever, it was just an absolute meltdown of what had happened. And I mean, luckily, Hard Knocks is happening. This is with the Colts. So you can check that out. I'm pretty sure that's going to be juicy as hell. I mean, it was going to be fun if they won that game. But since they lost in the way that they did, this is going to be a good episode. Cannot wait to watch that. Steelers beat the Ravens 16-13. Big Ben gets another shot at the playoffs. And the Ravens go home. Kind of a boring game, to be honest with you. Big Ben, Tyler Huntley, not a whole lot of offense, not a whole lot of fun. TJ Watt does become the sack king. Wait, was it this game? Or was it the last game? I can't remember, but he did become the sack king. Not really the king, but tying Michael Strahan. So, that's pretty cool to see. Texans beat the Titans 28-25, a little bit closer than you thought, but Titans get the job done. They are the number one seed in the AFC because they beat the Chiefs. And so it's weird because I was always kind of talking shit about Ryan Tannehill not really being the guy who would, you got to win a game, but he's going to give you a couple turnovers. That became Carson Wentz in this last weekend. You needed to win that game. You needed that game badly. And he just pissed it away with pick after pick. I was like, whew, I don't even know if that guy's going to be there next season. I mean, sure, that relationship with him and Frank Reich is, everybody talks about it as being like kind of like a father-son type of thing, a great relationship. But he was quoted like he doesn't know if Carson's going to be the quarterback next year. So it's like, oof, I don't know. Saints beat the Falcons 30-20. Who cares? Bills beat the Jets 27-10. Who cares? 49ers beat the Rams 27-24. Yeah, this was not good. Regardless of us winning the division, that's cool, that's fun. We still kind of dropped in the seeding, though. We dropped in the seeding. I don't feel very confident going up against the Cardinals, even though we've beaten them once. It was, we still lost to them. But just the way the performance was against the 49ers, if we can narrow it down to this. Listen, I've been very, very critical under Matthew Stafford and this entire team, but I gotta be honest with you. I was not a fan of Sean McVay at all this game. At all. We went up 17-0 in the first half. And then this guy goes onto the field and into the end zone and celebrates with the team as if he's one part of the team, a player on the team, and that we just won the damn Super Bowl. The lack of discipline, the lack of awareness, the lack of, hey, act like you've been there before in a head coach has never been more absent than with Sean McVay. This guy he's too much of a player's coach, if I can be honest with you. If I can narrow it down. He's too much of a player and less of a coach. He gets excited all the time. He wants to be a part of the pile-on. And it's like, you can be that excited. You should be that happy. You are winning 17-0. But you also got to know that you are the leader of this team. No matter who is quarterbacking. You're the head coach. You've been given the team to you essentially, and you got to be that leader. You got to show discipline, and you have to show that you've been there before, even though you probably haven't. You got to be pretend that, because you can't act like too childish or too immature with the team. It's like, we haven't completed the mission yet, guys. Come on, we got to focus here. That let the 49ers back in, and honestly, that just kind of we kind of just pissed the game away after that, because they came back down 17-0 or 17-3 at the first half, and then we scored just one touchdown after that, and it was just kind of piss poor. And also, the final drive of that game with 2 minutes left, and we just call the stupidest play of just essentially just a dive bomb Hail Mary type of play when Matthew's already been pretty inconsistent that day, underthrowing balls and already getting picked off. And we do this similar play with 2 minutes left in the and on first down, and we try that, and we absolutely fail. He underthrows the ball, we get intercepted, and then that's it. Bye bye. It's over. Just bad play calling too, just bad overall. That can't continue. That you have the ball with 2 minutes left, first down. Don't panic and just do a stupid miracle play. That's just not gonna. And with a quarterback who's already been underthrowing balls the entire game, why would you do that? It's just so stupid. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, what is this guy thinking? What is McVay doing? It's just immature and just not knowing. You got to be in the moment there, bro. You can't just because get bailed out by first of all, a quarterback who's not even making the greatest throws that day, and then just, getting doused by the 49ers. It's just not going to happen. Moving on, the Dolphins beat the Patriots 33-24. Again, why was Brian Flores fired? They finished 9-8, but I understand that they've started out 1-7. The Patriots ended 10-7. They're in the playoffs. They're going to be facing the Bills, and that's going to be interesting. But again, just this is a winning season for the Dolphins, which I feel like is not as, you don't see that as much. So the fact that they did fire him is kind of strange, in my opinion. The Seahawks beat the Cardinals 38-30. The Cardinals have been slipping quite a bit and not looking as invincible or as super as they have been. But that could, now everybody's in the playoffs now, so that's going to be huge, because if we could actually beat them next week or this coming week, it's going to be so much fun, because then we get to make fun of them because they just collapsed after being so dominant in the first half of the season. Buccaneers beat the Panthers 41-17. Who cares? Raiders beat the Chargers 35-32. Now, if you're me and you enjoy chaos, you would have probably been very disappointed about this game and the outcome of this game, because we were so close, everybody. We were so close to getting a tie that would advance both teams in the play that were playing in that game to the playoffs. We're so close. And I understand why the Raiders tried to win, and why every other fan, neutral fan, or anybody watching the game that is not a fan of the Chargers or the Raiders would have wanted a tie. I understand why we're all in our own, brains that night. Because the fact that, one, a tie would put both of those teams in the playoffs and knock out the Steelers would have been so good, because we wouldn't have to watch Big Ben in the playoffs. I don't care if you find it cool that he's still playing. He's playing bad football right now. It's not watchable. It's not fun. I don't care. He already had his goodbye send-off in Heinz Field. That's all I need. I'm good. I'm fine now. I don't need any more. I will always have that in my memory. I'm good. I don't want to see him in the playoffs. I don't want to be robbed of watching Justin Herbert and the Chargers in the playoffs. One, because Herbert's actually really good and fun to watch, and Big Ben is not. And, I could see why the Raiders were they wanted to win, because if they didn't win, they would have to play the Chiefs instead of the Bengals. If they lost, if they tied, they would have to play the Chiefs and not the Bengals. So I could see why they would do that. Also, no one talks about this, but imagine if you do tie and you let the Chargers in. If you're the Raiders, you both go, right? What if you have to play them in the playoffs, to advance to the Super Bowl, and you lose to them? That's going to be bad karma. That would just be you would automatically go back to, why did we even tie them? Why did we do this? Because that would automatically make it so regrettable, so stupid to think that, in the moment, it would have been cool to tie and both of us go. But if we ended up losing to the Chargers, or vice versa, Chargers lose to the Raiders, then it would have been wow, that was just a big mistake. Why did we even do that? So yeah. But also, it's as a professional athlete and a professional football team, your job is not to play to tie. It's just not. You're supposed to have that winning mentality to win at all cost. And honestly, if we were watching just two teams take knees and take blatantly just blow plays or making scenarios to tie, it would be actually embarrassing. In theory, it would have been funny, but when actually watching it in real time and everybody talking about it and maybe looking at the coaches' faces or the players' faces, maybe they're laughing, maybe they look embarrassed, maybe they do, maybe it would have been bad. If you actually think about it, it would have been stupid and bad. It would have been very bad. So again, we all kind of joke about it. We all been wouldn't it have been cool to see? Probably for 5 minutes. And then you got to watch an entire game about that. It's oh yeah, maybe this was bad. It's just if it sounds good in the moment, sounds funny in the moment, but at the end of the day, it would have been pretty bad. And I'm happy that it actually did not happen. Happy that it did. Now that I've processed it, now that I'm not in the moment, not being a prisoner in the moment now, I'm looking back on it. Thank God that it did not happen. Thank God, because that would have been so unbearable to watch. It would have been painful. And the game was actually pretty good, though. It was actually really intense. A lot of tension, because for some reason the Raiders just could not stop the Chargers on fourth down. There would have been like 4th and 20, 4th and 15, 4th and 10, whatever. They would still convert every fourth down. It's like, why even play the other 3 downs? Just give them fourth down all the time. What is this? It's like it was so dumb how much the Chargers got so much crap for going on fourth down too many times and not cashing in. And now you get a game where you cash in nearly every fourth down that you are in to extend the game. Like, there were so many times where they don't make it. They lose. They're done. It's over. I mean, you could have counted them out like maybe 5 or 6 times where they were on the verge of getting disqualified for the playoffs and losing the game. But they just kept going and kept going. It's like, oh my God, this is insane. Maybe, whichever team's going to be less tired is going to end up winning. And fortunately for the Raiders, the Chargers can't stop the run. Josh Jacobs just ran over everybody, got them in field goal range, and then they sealed it off with a win. And then you saw after that, people were talking on the Raiders and the Chargers teams like, hey, were you going to tie or take the knee? Or take a kneel? Like, everybody's like, yeah, we were going to tie. Like, they were like some of the players were like ready to tie and not go on. And then they're like, I think Brandon Staley, the head coach of the Chargers, called a timeout. And that like shifted like the Raiders' game plan. Like, oh, they're actually trying to win, so we're just going to win. Like, okay, well, if they didn't call that timeout, I think that they were going to actually tie it. And then for them to both go on. And that's why I tweeted, like, this is going to be history in the making, because it was lining up so perfectly just to tie every time. I was like, oh, what's going to happen? This is going to happen. Time was running out, and I was like, dude, this is actually going to happen. This is sick. And then it ended up not happening. And then I was disappointed, yes, but then now I think about it, I'm like, yeah, fuck it. That would have been stupid as shit. It would have been really, really dumb. So now we got the playoff set. We got the matchup set. We got the playoff bracket set. I'm excited just to go through the games real quick just to see what's going to pop out, what's going to happen. Raiders are going to play the Bengals on Saturday on NBC in the afternoon, 1:30. I think that the Bengals are going to win that game for sure. But I wouldn't be surprised if it comes down to the wire, last play, and the Raiders actually win. But, I'm picking the Bengals because of the star power with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, their defense. I just feel like they got more firepower than the Raiders do. But I easily, like, this could go, all Raiders, just because of they're more of an older team. Not as young, maybe not make as many mistakes as they do. So, but I'm gonna go with the Bengals. Patriots Bills. This is supposed to be a very, very bad weather game, but I'm gonna go with the Bills because I think that Josh Allen and that team is just better than Mac Jones and their team, and I think that this is where we're gonna see Josh Allen, overcome weather and adversity, and that team, especially, Sean McDermott, overcome, Bill Belichick and actually move on. I think that it's going to be Bills over the Patriots. Buccaneers, Eagles, Sunday morning. I feel like the Buccaneers are just a better team. Every shape and every form, just better than the Eagles, and that they're going to beat the Eagles, easily, I think. 49ers and the Cowboys. I feel like that the Cowboys I feel like both teams are really, really good, but I just kind of feel like that the 49ers at the moment are just playing better football. More complete football, I think you can say. Even though Jimmy G has not been playing that well, that great. Dak hasn't been playing that well. Ezekiel Elliott is not that good. But I would be scared if I was the Niners for Micah Parsons that could actually make a big impact. I think it's going to be more of a defensive battle than an offensive battle, just because Micah Parsons is just so damn good. But then you got Deebo Samuel on the Niners that could just bust open any play. But I'm gonna pick the Niners. I think that the Niners can see this game out more than the Cowboys can. I don't know. I just feel like that they're more grounded. They're more maybe more experienced than the Cowboys at this point. But yeah, I'm going to go Niners. Steelers versus the Chiefs. Chiefs, no question. Everybody wants Big Ben to move on, wants him to continue his season, wants him to continue his potential farewell tour, but that's not going to happen. Chiefs are at home. They're just a better team, better equipped. Big Ben is on crutches essentially still. He barely throws the ball that much. If he does, it's just a couple short passes. Patrick Mahomes can literally throw it from anywhere on the field to Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, you name it. I mean, it's just, they have Najee Harris, so the Steelers, they got Najee Harris, so, but I don't think it's enough for them to beat the Chiefs in this game. Cardinals, Rams. Since I'm a Rams fan, I'm going to go with the Rams just because we are a better team, I think. I think that the Cardinals are kind of in a point where they're good, but they can fuck up everything with a couple plays, especially if it's being called by Cliff Kingsbury. Even though I don't trust McVay all that much, and I hate how he is so enthusiastic and just won't settle down and just relax a bit and just kind of play what's in front of him. I just feel like the Rams are a better equipped team, and they should win because the Cardinals aren't good at home, which is strange. But I feel like this game we have to have. We need to have it. And the pressure is going to be on Matthew Stafford for being 0-3 in the playoffs. So I feel like this is an opportunity to actually, exceed those expectations and exceed the criticisms and actually play a good game of football. Forget about what happened, dude. Forget about what happened in the past. Past few weeks, with a couple of good performances have been pretty rough on you. We've been winning, but it's like, just forget about all that. Forget about that, and actually, you can do it. You've thrown 41 touchdowns this year. I know that you're a good player. You are good. Just got to get over that mental hurdle of being trashed in the playoffs. I don't know. I feel like the Lions, Matthew Stafford just haunts Matthew Stafford. As soon as he stops letting that Matthew Stafford haunt him, he's going to be incredible and consistent and not not crumble under pressure. I feel like it's going to happen. You also got Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham Jr. You got this. Sony Michel, we need the defense to step up, though. Aaron Donald and Von Miller, Jalen Ramsey made a couple good plays, but you guys got to get to Kyler because he's fidgety, he's quick, he's flashy, he can extend plays. It's got to happen. You just got to be more of a factor in the future. So I'm going to take the Rams because I'm biased, but I just think that they need to have a good game here. The Cardinals, they don't need to have a good game here. The Rams do. Again, just my bias, but I need to see a complete game here, like a game from back in the first couple weeks of the season. I need to see a complete game. Offense, defense, play calling, everything's got to be good because the Cardinals, they have the ability to beat us and beat us bad. So we got to show up. We have to be laser focused. We can't let anything escape us. We got to have great performances every end of the game. Every aspect of the game's got to be good. So I'm going to go with the Rams. I hope that those predictions come true. I think that's what's going to happen. I feel like this year's playoffs games are they're not like going to be super close, but I feel like that they could easily go the way that I just said. I don't know. I'm not saying that they're going to be predictable, but I just feel like with Patriots, Bills, maybe I'm seeing it just too one-sided, but I feel like that's going to happen. Eagles, Buccaneers, that seems automatic. 49ers, Cowboys, I could easily see the Cowboys beating them. Steelers, Chiefs, that should be easy. Rams, Cardinals, that's also not super, obvious, but I got a good feeling about that. But anyways, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and, more to come in the future. This was episode 50, a benchmark in numbers, you could say, half of a century for years, but half of 150 is quite the accomplishment, I would say. Again, it does not feel like it's episode 50. It feels like it's episode 5 that I've been doing this, but it turns out it's 50. I mean, this just shows you how time flies, especially when you're having fun and doing what you like to do. And I hope to continue this and keep it going and, have more fun, because this is what it's all about, baby. This is what it's all about. But anyways, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. You can find all episodes uploaded on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify at Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. And I will see you guys next week.